getting too early now to go to Flash now. No,
No.
the old voice is near done.
Still in trial.
Huh?
Do a long time.
No. You can tell the old voice from the young one anyway, can't you?
But
Alright.
there's a bit of practice there that the young voice hasn't got, huh?
I know. But if you know, there's a tape of me somewhere that I sung years ago on, and I heard it one day, and the hair used to have cut off me now. I couldn't tell you, and you wouldn't know it was the same voice at all.
Did it?
Yeah, my voice has went terrible this last while. I can notice it myself. No, I can. I have shared it. Alright, whenever you go on a bit, you know. My father had a cousin called.
I could listen to you singing, yeah.
No, but the voice might change, but the style doesn't.
Oh, well, my father had a cousin called Lynn McMahon, and Ellen was a great singer. Okay, God, she was a great singer and step dancer, I know. And Ellen had a bag of songs. It was funny, she died and we never got her songs. Her only sister mine has a few of her songs, all right. But I'll never forget going to see her, and she was on her deathbed. And I went into the room till she was lying. And you know, she had a great sense of humour even on her deathbed. She could have laughed, you know, no matter what come her went. And she looked up at me out of the bed and she says to me, Sir Anne, I think the singing's over.
Yes.
She was talking about singing even on her deathbed. I think the singing's over, she says. Aye. Well, she was a great singer too. The tape tour, Master O'Neill, I don't know if you knew Master Frank O'Neill, he's dead this few years, he was a great man. Him and Jim Canning and Master Kevin and them, they went to taper years and years ago. You know the old tape recorder with the spools on the top.
Yeah.
I think Jim Canning and Colleen should have some of them things, you know, yet.
They initially had.
He was a taper, you know, years ago. Whenever there was nobody in this country ever heard tell of a tape recorder, you know. Ellen was great and very. She used to sing a song called Morgan's Hill So High, and I never got to know it. It was a local song. It was made by
Geordie sang it.
Aye.
Geordie sang it.
One evening on my rambles, as I happened for to go along with James McGregor to the parish of Canal, sun's bright rays were beaming along the azure sky. It was there I met my darling on Morgan's Hill So High. And she went to visit with an aunt of mine, Mary. And Mary's old father-in-law was living in the house with her. She was an old fella called Jem Donnelly. And Jem would elect us up, you see. Mary had a wee drop in a bottle in the room, and she didn't want to bring it up because there wasn't enough to go around everybody. And she wanted to give Ellen a wee treat, and she brought her she says to Ellen, come on into the room, she says, I'll show you this picture.
Yes.
So whenever she had her in the room, she gave her a wee drop in the room. So they sat and chatted a while and come up, and there was a cup of tea made, and Jem says to Ellen, before you go, Ellen, the old man in the corner sitting, you'll have to sing me Morgan's Hill So High. And Ellen looked over at Aunt Mary and she says, Mary, you may bring me back and show me that picture again.
Before she could sing it.
So she was a very, very jolly woman. So, of course, Morgan's Hill So High was a hard song to sing, you know. But
did Geordie sing it on the television?
No, I don't think so.
I heard him singing it recently. Unless it's one of the ones that I haven't filmed there myself, I don't know.
It was where it was made about Morgan's was a family who lived down there in Bracken, and it's a castle. The walls of an old castle down there.
Yeah.
And it was made about down there. He had come over from. It was along with James McGregor to the parish of Canal. The sun's bright rays were beaming along the azure sky. It was there I met my darling on Morgan's Hill So High. I modestly stood up to her and this to her to say, pray, what's your name, from whence you came, I'd like you to tell to me. Quite modestly she answered me with a shy look in her eye. My place of habitation is close to Green Mountjoy. That's Mountjoy down there, although it's Braca. Braca or Mountjoy, you know.
Well, do you sing Braca, Bray?
I do, surely.
Yeah.
Didn't I sing it in the club down it and made a real cod of it? Started it too high.
Yeah. Started a bit lower now.
Yes, you know it's a mile long, Braca Bay.
The neat tune, yeah.
One night as I lay slumbering in my silent bed alone, some rakish thoughts came into my mind, which caused me for to roam, for to leave my native country and the wee girl I do adore. So I thought then fit to take a trip strange lands for to explore. Now the night before I went away, I was walking on Braca Hill, when I met my darling on the road, and her eyes with the tears did fill. Stay you at home, dear John, she said, and do not go away, for I have none to comfort me when you are on the sea. Well, I took her by the lily white hands, and I held her hard and fast, saying, adieu, my darling, I must obey, for my ship lies in Belfast. But if you'll prove loyal, sure I'll prove true, for you know that I'm well inclined. So we kissed, shook hands, and parted, and I left my wee girl behind. Now when I landed in Belfast, her ship it was in full sail, and away we went down the loch with a fair and pleasant gale. We were rolling o'er the ocean, where the stormy billows roar. But thanks be to the heavens above, we landed safe on shore. Now when I landed in Greenock, the people they gathered around, and they said I was just a rakish lad, come to cut the harvest down. They told me to return home and never more be seen. So without delay I sailed straight away for Ireland's lovely green. Now when Mary heard that her John was home, her heart did beat with joy, saying, come into my arms, you're my darling, long believed boy. Saying, come into my arms, for you I have thought great long, and let them all say as they will, our wedding will now go on. Now Brockabridge, a pretty place where nice wee girls live in. You would think there were the nightingales when they sit down to sing, where the salmon trout all sport about round Loch Ness Vernon shore. And let them all say as they will, you are mine for evermore. Give me a wee later song. You're way behind the time you used to be. There's a fellow up there in Cork, just a lot of mile up the road there. Built a new house and built it that way.
Built the crook and all in there.
A lot. They say that it's elegant. And there's all the old time furniture and crocks and pots and pans and tongs and things. I will have a pair of tongs, but
You have no tour.
The big go past all that.
didn't they want the nibbles to melt when they went past us?
That's right.
And that one the coals and every damn
That's
thing.
right.
I just was talking to Larry girls here yesterday, one of them was here yesterday, and she was talking about bacon and all for Christmas. For me, I don't have very much a lot to do now for Christmas because they do it all. And we go next door there to John's.
Yes.
Wife there, I have no cooking to do on Christmas Day. John's wife makes the dinner here for all hands. And it's very humble. And I used to be, Lord Christ, I'm a tortured with the crowd that I had for Christmas. And then the other ate home and all click with it.
That's right.
And on a Christmas Eve night, and for a lot of nights before, when Falls' bar would close, there'd come a click here, maybe 2 or 3 Carloon, the men and them all near drunk. On a singing session and a...
You were saying you want to sing a song with John Kennedy.
this is the song of John. John sings this one. When first to this country a stranger I came, I placed my affections on a maid that was young. She being young and tender, her waist small and slender, kind nature had formed her for my overthrow. On the banks of the Bann, where I first beheld her, she appeared like great Juno, the fair Grecian queen. Her eyes shone like diamonds, her stars brightly gleaming. Her cheeks bloomed like roses, her blood drops on snow. And was her cruel parents who first caused her variance, all because she was rich and above my degree. But I'll do my endeavour for to gain my love's favour, although she is come of a rich family. Oh, had I all the money that lies in the Indies, or had I the riches that's in the Queen's store, I'd spend it on diamonds for you, my sweet girl, for there's no other charmer on this earth I adore. And it's now I have gained her, I'm contented forever. I'll put rings on her fingers and gold in her ear, and there on the banks of the bonny Band River, in all kinds of splendour, I will live with my dear. That's one
Never
of
heard
John's.
that before, though, sir, have I?
I'll tell you who sings it. A young fella McLaughlin there. In fact, he sung it in All Ireland. He plays a fiddle.
Is that right?
Sings it well
Oh,
too.
He's a
Nice.
very good singer.
He is a nice singer, that lad. He sung it in All Ireland. I thought he sung it really well. It was John Kennedy. I heard that too. You
I
know.
wasn't that it.
In fact, there's a lot of people sings that song. You know, thanks to the band.
Tell us this: did your father work at the fishing?
No, my father didn't work the fishing. He worked. I'll tell you what my father worked at. He used to haul boats on the Canal in the air in his early, when we were children.
They'd be horse-drawn barges.
Horse drawn.
Is that right?
And my half brother only, my brother only, he done it as well. And then he worked on a thing you call the dredger. It cleaned out the rivers. They'll be way down in. They'll be way down at Kinnigo, way down at Lurgan, and they'll be in Maher, and they'll be all over, cleaning out. And they stopped on the barges at night. They didn't come home only at the weekends.
How far are you from the canal here?
The canal's just down there at the foot of the fields.
Is that right?
Aye.
Oh, I didn't know
And the
that.
canal runs right on down there to the Blackwater River. Then
Yeah.
it branches off at a place you call the Point, and the river then goes on up to the Moy. That's right.
It would have been a busy. You wouldn't mind the canal and use yourself?
Oh,
would you?
do surely.
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, my father and only, and them hauling the boats.
Yeah.
Or only, aye.
Made the coal and that kind of it.
Had they? And Indian corn and all that. Going to Stevenson's yard and going to Kelly's yard in Canal there, where they burned the pipes there, the kilns in Kelly's yard.
Is that right?
Oh, I do surely. And
I
they
think
made
that would be a long time closed. That
And they
canal.
mind they let the men too. They used to, when they'd come across the river or the loch, maybe at dark, they wouldn't go any further. They would lie in at the over at Connolly's loch there. You heard me talking about Connolly's that had the wireless.
Yeah.
Where my father used to go to listen to the wireless. Well, they would lie in there overnight, and
What
then
did you call them?
the lighters.
What was that?
That was the boats.
Oh, that's what they called the boat.
Aye.
Uh,
The big steamboat brought them across the loch from Belfast, you see.
a whole row of them.
Aye, one behind the other.
Yeah.
And we'd be walking in the meadows and would love to run down to the bank of the river and see them going up the river. And the man that drove the big steamer was a man called Paddy Ryan. And then all the boats was right behind that in a row. And the boats all had names, the St. Patrick and the Liza Jane and the Martha and all that, you know.
And then they were hitched in the morning, they hitched a horse on.
Hitched the horse, aye, and they were horse drawn right up there into Canal.
One horse pulled them, didn't
Well, there was according to the load. Sometimes there was a heavy. Sometimes they'd come across late, you see, and bring stuff back,
Yeah.
and sometimes they were loaded. You know, depended on.
I often wondered, not having seen barges operating in the canal, how did the horse keep from pulling the barge in again the bank? Like, you know, how did they keep the boat out in the middle?
Well, the horse you see there, a thing on their back called a single tree, a thing that hooked
Yeah.
the thing on and put it whatever way they walked the rope.
Well, was it the man? Did he walk the bank or was he on the barge?
Oh, he walked the bank.
He walked the bank.
With the horse's eye. Yeah, sure.
Well, they could move some loads and stuff.
Oh, they did, aye, that time, aye. That was the only way that there was, wasn't it?
And
that
then
time,
the
most of-
boat when it got to the lane would have to be shoveled off.
Oh, aye, there was men there with carts and horses and all to unload them. There was a big thing up like on sheer legs with like a big barrel thing that, you know, that they could throw across and onto the lake.
It'd be shoveled into that.
Aye, that's right.
Well, were you ever on the barge yourself?
No, I never was on my father. Had him there. Only was on them too. You know, they would go on there, going up. It was a slow process, you know, walking till, and they could have hopped onto the lighters and I got the drop of hay made, you know, and all that, you know. The later men made very strong tea. Used to hear my father saying.
Yeah.
He would bring home maybe a lump or two of coal in the bag, you know, and only would have brought home, and they'd have a bag of hay with him for the horses to eat and a feed of corn and that.
Well, would the one day take them up and back again?
Oh, I would, sure.
What?
Oh, aye. And that time we burned the turf and we loved to get the coal. especially coming up to Christmas, and there'll be a fire lit in the room, and the smell of the coal was lovely that time, you know, because we were used with a turf. But you couldn't, it blackened all the pots and pans about the place. You couldn't have went near it with the black, you know, on your.
Well, your father not having fished, how did Geordie then get into the fishing?
Geordie, I don't know. He just got in with the McCourts and with Tommy John and that, and he soon picked it up now.
What about deals? Do you like getting them yourself?
Well, I wouldn't, you know. I wouldn't go out of my way to get them. I could eat them, you know, but
It wouldn't be that overly
no,
fun,
the
then.
pullens would be more, you know the pullens.
Yes.
I like them all right.
Did you know a man was from around this part of the country? He used to come down our way. Was a great singer called McGregor. He had a wee van. He sold fish.
Oh, aye.
Was he Jimmy McGregor?
Uh-huh.
Did you ever hear him singing?
No, I never did.
He had a great voice, that man.
That's right.
Uh, Mine one day was in, we had a bar up in McLeod one time.
Mm-hmm.
Then one day he was in, he stayed a wee bit longer, him and a few others was in, and he sung the Flower Sweets to the band that day. It was one of the songs you I think I never heard the song as well.
That's right.
Oh, great.
Yes, Tish Lahern, a great singer, isn't she?
She is.
Her and her sister, both.
Both of them.
Oh, great voices.
Singers, very.
God bless us, but she's a great. She doesn't need a microphone anyway.
No, good.
No,
And very musical voice.
very musical voice. Really
They
good,
go up on dailies there a lot.
very true singer. I love to hear her singing. They sing in the choir, I think, up there in Gallipoli, don't they? I heard them saying that they're great in the choir.
Well, what about round here? Is there many singers around this part now?
No, not so many. Well, the young ones wouldn't, you see, they wouldn't be interested that much in the ballads. They'd rather, I suppose, have the pop or that, you know. Modern music, sure they are. They like the folk now. A lot of them likes the folk stuff, like Christy Moore and them groups, you know, that does the folk stuff.
But there's not so many ballad singers.
Or
then.
McAvoy stuff, or stuff like that, you know. Aye. McAvoy was a nice singer too, you know, Johnny
He was.
McAvoy.
Oh, it still is.
Aye, lovely singer. I like McAvoy now myself.
And he writes an old songs.
He does, aye.
Well, is any songs, local songs, in Bracha Braid, is any one about there?
Well, do you mind the one that Jimmy McGurk wrote that Geordie used to sing, The Fisher's Cup?
That's right. Do you sing it or something?
I know, sure now.
You maybe give us a part of it.
That song, Jimmy McGregor Charlie wrote that song. And he sent it to me with a fella called Tommy O'Connor. Do you know Joe O'Connor, the fiddle player?
Yes.
Well, he had a brother and he used to be on a bread cart around here. And he lived about Carl near Jimmy McGurk. Now, Patrick McGurk is still living up there in the home place. It would have been Jimmy McGurk's son. And he sent it to me with Tommy O'Connor in the bread cart. And I just put this airlet. It's
And how did you do for the air of it?
it's the same air nearly as one sings Johnny McHugh. It's he sings the same air till nothing. He sings where I beheld Sweet Slave Gallen Bray.
Oh, that's
Aye.
right.
It's the same air, near enough, you know. Aye. My thoughts and fancy take their flight to days when but a boy, when carelessly I wandered to my beloved Mountjoy. I have seen great lands and mansions grand and cities fair and gay, but no finer spot than a fisher's cot on the banks of sweet Loch Ness. God bless you, Derry Lochan, King's Island and Clonau. Likewise, sweet Kildacolby, Clontow and old Arbow. And was God that planned that enchanted strand from Toon to Washington Bay, but he ne'er forgot the fisher's cot on the banks of sweet Loch Ness. Now I was told that there was gold and wealth in foreign parts. But millionaires can have their cares, in fact have broken hearts. But a heart so light or a smile so bright you won't find far away as what you've got in the fisher's cot on the banks of sweet Loch Ness. I have met some friends now of my youth who too were forced to roam. With tear-filled eyes they recognise that there's no place like home. And if God would grant one wish they want, and for that wish they pray, it's a peaceful bed to lay their head on the banks of sweet Loch Ness. Where is that pretty Colleen now, with whom I went to school? Perhaps she took a woman's vows and filled the golden rule. But I'm alone and far from home, no children fine or gay. Sad is my lot from the fisher's cot on the banks of sweet Loch Ness. And now, dear friends, my muses end, I am coming home once more, in some shady nook to bait my hook along the emerald shore, my net to trawl and my line to haul, and my boat to bring to bay, never more to roam from my cherished home on the banks of sweet Loch Ness. That's a long one too.
Yes, it's a nice one, but
Well, there used to be a man, you see, lived here years ago. Well, not here. He lived down in Brocka there, the lower back, a place you call the lower back. A man called Canavan. I'm sure you heard of Canavan. Canavan made loads of songs, all about the Loch, near enough all about the Loch.
yeah.
James Hanna sings a nice one that he made. I don't really know it, but James sings it well. My Nora, when you're writing, get him to sing it for you whatever time. Aye. Get him to sing it for you. So James makes a good job of it. And he made another one, Farewell My Native Green-clad Hills. And
Is it about this area too?
it's about about mostly about round the loch, you know. I'm sure you've heard Philomena Bigley done a version of it. Somebody come here and got the words of it off me, but then she put it till the time for her band, you know.
Aye, jazzed it up a wee bit.
You know
Spoils
that.
it so you can
Farewell, mine that of green-clad hills. Farewell, my shamrock plains. You verdant banks of sweet Loch Ness, and your silvery winding streams, though far from home in green to roam, where from you first I strayed, I adore you, Killacolby, where I spent my childhood days. Shall I ever see those valleys where in boyhood days I roved, or wander in the fine green woods with the friends I dearly loved? Can I no more by Loch Ness shore ere pass the summer's day, or hear again the lark's sweet strain, or the blackbird's and blithesome lay. Shall I ever rove by Belmont's grove, or Carnan's lofty hills, or hear again the fairy tales of the Rath beside the mill? Shall the nightingale that charms the vale by me be heard no more? Or what shall leave the wild drake leave the bogs on you swing the moor? Shall I ever stray by the washing bay, the worthy trout to coy, or set my line in the evening's fine around the green shores of Mount Joy? Shall the autumn gale never fill my sail, or the dim declining moon see me tempest tossed on the shores of Doss, or the raging bay of town? Shall my oar ne'er rest on the wild waves a crest, or again see the salmon play, while sailing o'er from Tyrone's green shore, bound for fair Antrim's bay? Shall I ne'er behold Shin's castle old, or gaze on the Mazarine? Shall my cot never land on the banks of the Ban, Coney Island or Strand? Now I have friends in America, all the health a man could desire, and their pockets filled with dollar bills, and dressed in grand attire. They would give it all for one country ball, to be again by the old Hearthstone, in a cabin near sweet Loch Ness, so dear, my own dear native home. For ye old Arbo, oft my tears do flow when I think and call to mind of parents dear, and friends sincere, and comrades true and kind. But I hope to gaze on your flowery breast ere 7 long years go round, our hands to clasp in friendship's grasp with the dear ones left behind. But since here, alas, long years have passed, I'll toast to this beauteous isle, then soon or long through that land of song the star of peace may smile. May plenty bloom from the Ban till town, that the shamrock yet may grow green o'er my grave by Loch Ness wave, near the old cross of Arbo.
That's a lovely song, that. Sure,
My love.
Philomena wouldn't have the tenth of it in it.
It's my love, isn't it?
And
And
they're their version of Furnace for air.
And a fella down the road there, Paddy Falls, he's dead now. Paddy made one to the same air as Bracker Bray about Clonau parish, about old Clonau, you know, aye. And another fella, Peter Hughes, he's dead now. He died the night that Dennis Taylor won the snooker. He died in the chair watching Dennis Taylor. What was the excitement or what? He's a long time in England. His family all got married over there. And he was married to an Arbo girl, and they come home and settled down here. And he was watching Dennis Taylor, and he was a fiddle player and a great singer and a great entertainer. He had funny songs and all kinds of songs, and he wrote a song just as quick as that.
Right.
Two. And he wrote a lovely song for Geordie too. I didn't know it all, but
Yes.
Geordie used to sing it.
Yeah.
About he sent the words of it home from England to Geordie, and Geordie put the air to it himself. I just don't mind the start of it now, but it's all about King's Island Chapel and Braca and all down around there too. If I could mind the start of it now, I know a bit of it all right now. I've heard you sing the praises of the Liffey and the Lee, yeah, that's it. I have heard you sing the praises of the Liffey and the Lee, and the lovely Shannon waters that flow gently to the sea. I have heard you sing of old Mayo and lovely Galway Bay, but I wait till I sing you the praises of home and sweet Lough Neagh. For towering over its waters stands the cross of old Arboe, erected by St. Patrick over 1,000 years ago. And as he stood upon its banks with his anointed hands, sure he blessed those silvery waters that flow from ban to ban. Or to walk through Killicolby on to lovely old Mountjoy, you'll see a ruined castle upon Morgan's hill so high, and to its ancient churchyard sure I cannot pass it by, for it's there behind its holy walls my dear old parents lie. Now for dear old Derry Laughin, far from you I didn't roam, and that little whitewashed cottage I will always call my home, where you can see the purple heather, where the turf fire scents the air, and hear King's Island Chapel bell a-calling us to prayer. That's a bit of it anyway, but there's more of it, I don't know.
It's a nice song too, sir.
Nice song, that's King's Island Chapel up there, that's our chapel, you can see it from here.
Is it part of Canal Parish?
It's on the, no, this is Canal Parish.
Canal Parish?
Aye.
How many chapels have you in the
We have 3. Patrick, Bridget and Columkill.
yeah.
St. Patrick's is the parish chapel.
Where is it?
It's in Clenow. It's newly built there, a new parish priest built it, Farm McCune.
Yes.
You know Farm McCune?
No, I don't know.
Well, he's from Carrickmore direction up there,
Is
he was
that
born
right?
and bred.
Oh,
There you go, this man likes
Are
the
you not
song.
getting very thirsty?
Eh?
Are you not getting very thirsty?
I'm going out
what?
there to get another drink of water.
Uh-huh.
Because, honest to God, it is thirsty. It's
It's pretty
thirsty
warm,
walk
yeah,
that, isn't
it's
it,
really
John?
It is.
Eh?
It is.
Have you not enough of songs on that now? You think you'd have enough of songs, Joe? Eh?
You couldn't have too many.
Huh?
You couldn't have too many. I suppose you never tried to count up all the songs, you know, you can hardly do it, I suppose.
No, I haven't that many songs, you know. Not I haven't an overdose of songs. There's plenty. Lynn Graham and Joe Roisin White, there's an awful lot of songs.
Has she?
Oh, how's Sheila?
How long she living in Armagh?
Oh, she's living in the, I don't know how long she's living, she teaches in the college there.
Yeah.
An awful nice girl, and it's just, you know, she loves to sing, it's just terribly interesting, and she has plenty of songs.
Right, and a good,
Roisin's not stuck for a song now.
a good voice.
And a good voice, good
Yeah.
strong singer, and she's
Good
good.
strong
She's
singer.
good about it. She doesn't.
No, she
No,
would,
she's,
no, she would not hurt the force.
Oh no, that's right.
Even that last night I asked her to move up a wee bit, she's a wee bit near the light, and there was no trouble at all.
Oh no, oh
Right,
she's
you know,
very,
very
she's
helpful.
very helpful, and she's a good girl, where she, actually she'd come here and take, you think she wouldn't be hardly bothered like me, she'd come and take me anywhere,
Is that
in
right?
our car, oh aye.
Uh,
Poor me has went to sessions and places, you know, it's just great.
you should tell her about Sunday week up in Ahayar. Well, goes a long way away. That's
Mhm.
It's up on the Drone. Still Drone, but it's away at the far end of it. You go up through the Drone.
Is this new place?
No, it's to mark the 30th anniversary of the formation of the 54 that go to it.
Oh, see.
But they intend to have a lot of singers and musicians
Oh, I
down
know
there.
where they are.
But it'll be 20 mile now, say the Roma, would it, John? Maybe not.
What do you call the place again?
Ahayar.
And these boys here used to,
So that road back, alright.
It'll be 20 mile now, say the Roma.
well, these boys here used to play a football team up there.
Did they?
Ah,
Ah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it should be a good evening now.
Aye.
It should be a good evening.
Oh no, I'm sure there's plenty from about Jimmy Hearn and Tommy John. Tommy John will go, I'm sure Jimmy McElvan will be going.
Jimmy McGregor
Aye, or Jimmy will
definitely
be.
go.
Martin Fox. I'm sure them will
Well, Jimmy's one of the 30 ways he's going to get his 30-year medal.
Oh, is it?
They're like the pioneers, you know, the medal the pioneers give you.
Silver pen.
Silver, they're getting a silver pen. Sing us one more song, Sarah, and we'll give you a pace there this evening.
I don't know what I could
I think
sing.
there's time for one more on that tape.
I don't know what more than that, what else I could sing, you know. What I could have think of.
It's just hard to think of on the sport of it.
Except I sing the Geordie's Way of Our Bows, and it's hard to sing if you don't get it on the legs, you know.
Get it started in the right key.
Did you ever hear him sing that? You did?
I did.
My pearly notion. Will I sing that? Or
I
will I
do,
sing
surely.
Eh?
She'll sing it, surely.
You guns assist my poor wearied notion. Your inspired muses lend me your hand till I exhort my quill without blot or blemish, till I set forth the praises of this lovely strand. That's well situated in the north of old Ireland, being all in the county of your sweet Tyrone, joining the banks of Loch Ness bright wonders. Is that ancient fabric, they call it Old Arbo. Well, I stood in amazement to view the harbour, where the purling streams they do gently flow, where the trout and salmon were nimbly sporting, which brings more honour to you, Old Arbo. In the summer season for recreation, you can carelessly stroll along the strand, where the boorish breezes are gently blowing along the shore where the fabric stands. And 'twas St. Patrick who did adorn that the great stone cross sure he raised on high, that each spectator might well remember 'twas on a cross and God's Son then died. I have travelled Russia and a part of Prussia. I have travelled Spain and all along the Rhine, but in all my rakings and undertakings are Bowyer equal I never could find.
Good year yourself.
You have enough of our bow songs in it. Well, our bow must be in every one of them.
Huh?
Them's all homemade ones, you know.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well,
God.
look,
Eh?
And that's only some of them.
There's only some of them,
You don't know who made that particular one, do you?
I don't know if Canavan made that one or not.
Is Canavan dead?
Oh, years and years
Years
ago.
ago.
Jimmy McIlvanna was trying to
And his son's dead.
resurrect, some information and all about him, you know.
They
Aye.
read a bit of the history.
Aye, that's right. Jimmy was trying to get that done. I don't know if he managed it or not.
Well, would he have sang himself? He would.
I don't know. They used to say, they used to make fun. They made very long songs. He wrote them on the back of a early wallpaper. They used to say.
Yes. He did. He did.
It took,
He
eh?
He sang all right, he did.
I don't know now if he, I don't
I'll
know.
let that run on to the tape
Oh,
because
yes, sing
there's only a minute or two of it.
Oh, he sang all right.
You had heard of him too, John.
Didn't how I.
Aye, sure he did. Mhm.
And what was he, a school teacher?
No, I think he just was an ordinary working man, you know. He just had that gift of being able to make songs. His people. Get it that way, isn't it? Uh-huh. Jimmy McGregor Charlie was the same. Peter Keys that I was telling you about was the same.
Well, you see that song that Joe sings and Patsy Quinn sings it as well, the cockfight at Old Glenelg.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who wrote that song, do you?
No, I don't know if it was Master O'Neill now that wrote that or not. Master Frank, as they called him. He was a great, he's a great man for writing
It's
songs.
not that
and all.
long wrote that song, sure it's not.
No, not
Because
that
it
long.
mentions the Olympics in Tokyo, so
That's right.
it can't be that overly old.
There's plenty of that fella Peter Hughes that I'm telling you about that day, the night that Dennis Taylor won the World Snooker. Peter made one years ago. There used to be a wee hall up the road there between Canal and Dungannon in a place called Gorton. There's a wee place in there called, and there was a wee country hall in there, Edendork, up near Edendork. And Peter Hughes made a song. They used to all go, you see, there to the dances. On bicycles and walking and all from here. There's nothing thought of it that time, don't you know? And Peter, he made a song about that. Just, you know, I didn't know it all, but used to know a funny song, don't you know?
About all the ones that would have went.
Aye. Oh, come on, you lads and lassies. Come listen to me. What do you sing? Oh, come on, you lads and lassies, come listen, one and all, and I'll sing to you a verse or two concerning Gorton Hall. It's up above Coney in about 10 minutes walk, in a little country village that's well known as Edendork. And off the dancing carried on, I'm going to explain, and in my simple verses I will mention a few names of the lads and of the lassies that to Gorton do attend. These are a few simple lines that I have lately penned. There's the Currys and the McCurrys, the Reagans and the Quinns, and two big girls from the engine bridge. There's like other as two tins. There's one of them goes with Hugh McGrath, and the other with Arthur Queen, and these are the finest fellas Gorton women have ever seen.
Very good.
Now, there's another bit of it. Here's to Willie McAnulty, he's the nicest of them all. He used to go with my wee girl, but he couldn't go at all. He went with Ivy Curry, of the girl she was the top, but he only went to the second night till she give him the drop. That was the way it went, you know. Just
Mentioned everybody that
mentioned himself.
Yeah.
There is Pat Carr from the washing bay, and Peter Hughes from the dram. That was himself.
Yeah.
Owen Hearn and Henry Hughes from the fray. Did ever you see such men? Winnie McAnulty and Hugh McGrath, and also Art the Queen. And these are the finest fellas that my eyes have ever seen. There was the way, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Songs like that the people would
Well, where would you want to dance to, Sarah, when you were young?
There was a hall down in Dailahan.
That one that I was asking you about there.
It's still there. That old tin hall.
Aye, on the left hand side of the road coming up there.
Oh no, that was the band. What you're thinking? Oh no, it's way. It's as you go down to Tommy John's place. An old tin hall down there. It's still there yet.
And would have been local musicians? Would have been.
It would have been local musicians, is right. Now there's some great nights in it.
It's on the left one down.
That's right. And Core Hall up here. A wee hall up the road here over the. It's a wee small hall now. It's not very big now. But that was any place. And there used to be an odd dance, you know, in Kings Island School. There would have been a whist day for the parish.
Yeah.
A whist day for the parish, and then after there would have been a dance or a bazaar and a dance after. Or something like that. But we didn't get to too many dances now at that time.
Well, this all we all down by Tommy Jones direction, we just Tilly Lamps would have been in, I suppose.
Oh aye, that's right. Or just Tilly Lamps.
And I don't know, late.
Oh, an all-night dance, but there's only 3 all-night dances in the year. One at Christmas, and one at Easter, and one in the holiday time when the Scotch used to come a lot of Scotch over in them times, and one in July holidays, you know.
What about Coney Island? Were you ever out on
And
it?
then Clonmore. We used to go to Clonmore at an odd time. Coney, I was out in Coney Island, aye, a few
There's
times.
a house on it, but
There is, aye. I think there's a woman lives there now on her own.
Sort of a caretaker.
She's a manly one, stays there on her own, isn't she? God save us.
Is it far out the island?
Oh God, I don't know how far. Well, you can see it from Maharay, don't you know?
Can you?
No, it's not that far out.
Be a mile, I suppose, anyway.
Oh, it is surely, aye. Oh, I wasn't down for a long time now. Although I think there was someone on there this summer. There was a
Bit of a do on it.
aye, there was a big loch. There was a big loch Sunday. There was a Sunday in Maharay every year, don't you know?
Yeah.
Aye. Nice place, Maharay.
Is it the only island on the lot?
There's no island, but there's no living. There's no accommodation on a place called Skada.
Scotty, yeah.
Aye. It's mostly inhabited by gold boards and all, don't you know?
Yeah.
Aye. But there's no living accommodation in it. But our Lord Charlemagne was buried on Coney Island.
Was it?
Aye, it's supposed to be.
Was it from the mighty there?
There was a wishing well and a wishing tree and everything on it, don't you know, on Coney Island. Oh, it used to be in years ago when when that hotel was in Maharay there. They used to, you know, the Scotch and English visitors used to come, and it used to be a holiday resort, you know, Maharay. And they would have stayed in the hotel on holidays. And Coney Island was a beauty spot. Lord, it was lovely kept that time with walks and flowers and
They were out on trips too.
oh aye, great. It was lovely that time. It was well kept. Lord, there was some of the loveliest flowers and walks and all through it, and the house and all those. There was a man in this country called James McSly. His son and daughters living down the road there near the washing bay. Yet they were reared on Coney Island. He was a caretaker. He looked after it great. He reared his family on it, James McSly. And brought them into Maharay every morning in the boat to school. And then he could have brought the supplies, don't you know, out from the shop. Aye, and met the postman and all there in Maharay in the mornings. Then he went back out for them again in the evenings at 3 o'clock.
Well, what about the fishing on the loch? Was there fishing all the year round, or was there a certain time of the year there was no fishing?
Oh, a certain time of year there wouldn't be fishing. It started like in the springtime, you know, the pullens and that, and I don't know what else, and nails, and they've got the odd salmon, like the odd trout and all too, you know. I have cousins there works at the fishing, Henry Donnelly and James and John and them.
They'll work at it.
They do, sure.
But there's a lot more restrictions on it now than
Oh, it is, sure.
You're only allowed to...
Tommy John fished and Patsy and that.
Patsy a fisherman too.
Oh, Patsy fishes with Tommy John. Geordie fished with Tommy John too. Geordie fished with him, of course, but he was a great man he's a great friend of Tommy John's, you know. Tommy John and him got on well together.
I think anybody could get on with Tommy Jones.
Aye,
He's a
Tommy
very
Jones, a
quiet,
civil fella.
Very civil fella.
Yes, aye, that's a beef man there now. Really
Another visitor.
No, he's not stopped yet. He's way up to the next house there, up there, Jones.